The original Karate Kid film opens in 1984 and introduces the teenager Daniel LaRusso, who has just moved across the country to Los Angeles, California with his mother. While trying to fit in and make friends with his new high school classmates, Daniel becomes smitten with the cheerleader Allie Mills, drawing the ire of her ex-boyfriend Johnny Lawrence. Johnny is a member of the violent karate dojo Cobra Kai, and he constantly bullies Daniel alongside his fellow Cobra Kai students. When Johnny and his lackeys brutally attack the helpless Daniel, he is saved by the old and unassuming handyman Mr. Miyagi, who easily fights off the Cobra Kai students. Daniel is amazed by Mr. Miyagi's fighting skills and asks to be trained in karate to better defend himself against bullies. Mr. Miyagi agrees to train Daniel on the condition that he competes in the All-Valley Karate Tournament to defeat Johnny in a fair and equal fight. Although Daniel is at first excited to begin his training, he quickly becomes disappointed that Mr. Miyagi forces him to simply complete menial tasks and chores. Eventually, Mr. Miyagi reveals that these chores have developed Daniel's muscle memory, expertly training him in defensive tactics. As Mr. Miyagi continues to train Daniel, he also opens up about his tragic past, including his wife and son's death during childbirth while imprisoned in an internment camp during World War II. Miyagi was forced away from his late wife's side as he fought in the war, earning him a Medal of Honor. Daniel learns to appreciate both the karate lessons and the life lessons instilled in him by Mr. Miyagi, bettering himself as a fighter and man, and strengthening his bond with his new girlfriend Allie. As the tournament approaches, Daniel celebrates his 18th birthday, where Mr. Miyagi gifts him both a karate gi and a classic car. As the All-Valley tournament begins, Daniel quickly surprises his competitors by earning his spot to the semifinals. This concerns the Cobra Kai dojo, led by the ruthless Vietnam War veteran Sensei John Kreese. Kreese instructs his student Bobby to intentionally injure Daniel in the semifinal round with an illegal attack to the knee. Despite Bobby's hesitance, he obeys his sensei and injures Daniel, disqualifying himself but ensuring Daniel cannot compete in the final round of the tournament. The injured Daniel refuses to give up and has Mr. Miyagi use a pain suppression technique to allow him to continue fighting. In the final round of the tournament, Daniel faces off against his rival Johnny Lawrence. The match is perfectly balanced, with neither fighter able to land a successful strike against their opponent. A desperate Kreese then instructs Johnny to target Daniel's injured leg, and though Johnny feels guilty for fighting dirty, he ultimately obeys his sensei. Daniel is left seriously injured and in pain, but finds his inner strength to perform Mr. Miyagi's signature move, a crane kick, to finally defeat Johnny and be claimed the tournament champion. In the end, Johnny grows to respect his rival and personally hands Daniel his victor's trophy, while Mr. Miyagi watches his protege with pride. The story continues in The Karate Kid Part 2, which opens directly after the conclusion of the All-Valley tournament. An enraged John Kreese attacks Johnny Lawrence for his loss against Daniel LaRusso, but Mr. Miyagi intervenes, saving Johnny and threatening to execute a killing blow to Kreese before ultimately showing mercy. This inspires Johnny to rally his friends and leave the Cobra Kai dojo for good. 6 months later, Mr. Miyagi receives word that his father is dying. Daniel LaRusso, recently single and unsure of his college future, agrees to accompany Mr. Miyagi as he returns to Okinawa to say goodbye to his father. Miyagi explains to Daniel that when he was younger, he had fallen in love with a woman named Yuki, despite her being betrothed to his best friend Sato. When Miyagi announced his intentions to marry Yuki, a bitter Sato challenged him to a fight to the death. Instead, Miyagi abandoned Yuki and fled the country. Now, as Miyagi returns to Okinawa with Daniel, he is confronted by Sato once again, declaring they will finally have their fight to settle old scores in 3 days' time. Miyagi returns to his home village and mourns the passing of his father, while also reuniting with Yuki, who explains that she never married Sato due to her continued love for Miyagi. Miyagi also learns that Sato has become a rich and powerful industrialist, whose selfish business moves have impoverished the entire village. Ultimately, Miyagi agrees to fight Sato on the condition that if he wins, Sato relinquishes control of the village back to the villagers, allowing them to prosper once again. As Mr. Miyagi prepares for his fight against Sato, he also trains Daniel in his family's karate drum technique, translating to precise counter-strike attacks. As Daniel trains under Miyagi, he also develops a romance with Yuki's niece Kumiko, and forms a rivalry with Sato's nephew, Chosen. On the day of the fight, a massive typhoon strikes the village, forcing all of its inhabitants to evacuate. When Sato becomes trapped inside his dojo, Miyagi and Daniel risk their lives to save him. Daniel then further risks his own life to save a lost and scared little girl. Sato asks Chosen to help Daniel, but Chosen refuses. And so, Sato comes to Daniel and the little girl's rescue, before publicly denouncing and disowning his dishonorable nephew. After the storm passes, a repentant Sato seeks forgiveness from Miyagi and relinquishes control of the village back to the villagers. Sato then hosts a festival to celebrate this act of generosity, attended by Miyagi, Daniel, Kumiko, and the thankful villagers. Unfortunately, a spiteful Chosen then crashes the festivities, challenging Daniel to a fight to the death. As Daniel becomes overwhelmed by Chosen, Miyagi and Sato lead the entire village in encouraging Daniel to use the drum technique, which he does expertly to defeat Chosen. As Daniel contemplates killing Chosen, he instead shows the same mercy that Miyagi had previously shown John Kreese. In the end, the entire village comes together to celebrate their victory, as Mr. Miyagi proudly takes in all of the good that he has accomplished. In The Karate Kid Part 3, a broke and desperate John Kreese seeks the help of his ruthless friend from the military, Terry Silver, to help him rebuild Cobra Kai and seek revenge on Mr. Miyagi and Daniel LaRusso. Meanwhile, Daniel moves in with Mr. Miyagi, and as they open a bonsai shop together, Miyagi continues training Daniel in new forms of karate. As Daniel begins dating a new girl named Jessica, the pair of young lovers are confronted by Mike Barnes, a star karate champion wanting to face Daniel in the All-Valley Karate Tournament. When Mr. Miyagi instructs Daniel to turn down the tournament, Barnes and his fellow lackeys destroy Miyagi's shop and injure Jessica before fleeing the scene. Desperate to restore all that was damaged, an enraged Daniel digs up a bonsai tree that Miyagi had brought with him from his home in Okinawa, hoping to sell it to afford to repair the damages inflicted by Barnes. Unfortunately, Barnes arrives to confront Daniel once again, this time breaking Miyagi's cherished tree in half. As Miyagi tends to the tree, he encourages Daniel to remain calm and not give in to his rage. But Daniel is overcome with a bitterness toward Barnes and wants to seek revenge in the All-Valley Tournament. When Miyagi refuses to enable this behavior and continue their training, Daniel instead turns to Terry Silver, who claims his desire is to rebuild Cobra Kai into a better dojo that can redeem itself for its past misdeeds. Of course, this is all a trick by Silver, who has been secretly working with John Kreese and Mike Barnes to destroy the relationship of Daniel LaRusso and Mr. Miyagi, as part of his ultimate revenge plan. Under Silver's tutelage, Daniel grows more aggressive and hot-headed. This culminates in Daniel attacking a stranger, who had secretly been bribed by Silver to provoke him. Daniel becomes distraught by his actions and remorsefully seeks reconciliation with both Jessica and Mr. Miyagi. Miyagi forgives Daniel for his actions and happily reveals that the broken bonsai tree has begun to heal. In the end, Mr. Miyagi agrees to train Daniel in karate once again, preparing him for his fight against Mike Barnes in the All-Valley Tournament Finals. The match proves to be a brutal back and forth that culminates in a sudden death overtime round. Although Daniel begins to lose faith in himself, Miyagi encourages him to use all of the skills he's learned before to perform the best karate of his life. Ultimately, emboldened by Mr. Miyagi, Daniel defeats Mike Barnes and is crowned the winner of the All-Valley Tournament. As John Kreese and Terry Silver are humiliated, with Cobra Kai in shambles, Daniel LaRusso and Mr. Miyagi embrace, victorious once again. The story continues in the next Karate Kid. Mr. Miyagi attends a ceremony for soldiers who fought in World War II, where he meets Louisa Pierce, the widow of a fellow veteran. Pierce introduces Miyagi to her teenage granddaughter Julie, who has begun aggressively acting out due to mourning the loss of her parents from a car accident. Seeing another potential pupil in need, Miyagi agrees to stay with Julie to help mentor her. At the local high school, Julie befriends Eric, a member of the Alpha Elite, the school's militaristic student security force led by Colonel Paul Dugan. Dugan's Alpha Elite students are taught to use excessive force, and his most favored recruit Ned makes Julie his target for unwelcome sexual advances. Meanwhile, Julie bonds with Mr. Miyagi after revealing that her late father had taught her karate as a young child. In turn, Miyagi takes Julie to a Buddhist monastery, where she learns to control her anger and have respect for all life. Mr. Miyagi then teaches Julie to dance before she goes to prom with Eric. When Ned sees Julie and Eric kissing, he spitefully attacks Eric, brutally beating him up alongside his friends from Alpha Elite. Julie and Miyagi intervene to save Eric, after which Julie challenges Ned to a one-on-one fight. During the fight, Julie utilizes all of the skills Mr. Miyagi has imparted on her to defeat the antagonistic Ned. An enraged Dugan then orders the other Alpha Elite students to attack Julie, but they finally understand the Colonel's villainy and refuse to follow his orders. Miyagi then challenges Dugan to a fight, defeating and humiliating him, leading to the dissolution of Alpha Elite. In the end, Mr. Miyagi walks away peacefully with Julie, victorious once again. The story continues in 2010's Karate Kid, which introduces the 12-year-old Dre Parker, who has just moved from Detroit, Michigan to Beijing, China with his widowed mother, Sherry. While trying to fit in and make friends with his new classmates, Dre becomes smitten with the violinist Mei Ying, drawing the ire of Cheng, who similarly has a crush on her. Cheng is a member of the violent kung fu studio Fighting Dragons, and he constantly bullies Dre alongside his fellow Fighting Dragon students. When Cheng and his allies brutally attack the helpless Dre, he is saved by the old and unassuming handyman Mr. Han, who easily fights off the Fighting Dragon students. Dre is amazed by Mr. Han's fighting skills and asks to be trained in kung fu to better defend himself against bullies. Mr. Han agrees to train Dre on the condition that he competes in the upcoming kung fu tournament to defeat Cheng in a fair and equal fight. Although Dre is at first excited to begin his training, he quickly becomes disappointed that Mr. Han forces him to simply complete menial tasks, like repeatedly taking his jacket on and off. Eventually, Mr. Han reveals that these tasks had developed Dre's muscle memory, teaching him essential kung fu moves without him ever even realizing it. Han then takes Dre to a Taoist temple, where the young student witnesses a woman expertly forcing a dangerous cobra to reflect her movements. As Mr. Han continues to train Dre, he also opens up about his tragic past, including his wife and son's deaths in a car crash that he was responsible for. This revelation inspires Dre to not only fight for himself, but for Han's honor, in the hopes that his kung fu master can finally overcome his grief. Dre learns to appreciate both the kung fu lessons and the life lessons instilled in him by Mr. Han, bettering himself as a fighter and man, and helping him finally earn the respect of Mei Ying's father. As the kung fu tournament begins, Dre quickly surprises his competitors by earning his spot to the semifinals. This concerns the Fighting Dragon studio, led by the ruthless Master Li. Li instructs his student Liang to intentionally injure Dre in the semifinal round with an illegal attack to the leg, disqualifying himself but ensuring Dre cannot compete in the final round of the tournament. The injured Dre refuses to give up and has Mr. Han use a fire cupping technique to heal his leg and allow him to continue fighting. In the final round of the tournament, Dre faces off against his rival Cheng. It desperately instructs Cheng to target Dre's injured leg, leaving him seriously injured and in pain. Despite this, Dre finds his inner strength and utilizes the Taoist Cobra reflection technique to defeat Cheng once and for all and be crowned the tournament champion. In the end, Cheng grows to respect his rival and personally hands Dre his victor's trophy, while the students of Fighting Dragons dispel Li to name Mr. Han their new kung fu master.